Imagine waking up one day to find that every choice you ever made was a lie. That your life, your memories, even your destiny, were controlled by something darker, something that waits in the shadows. Elena thought she was safe, until she stepped inside a house where reality itself turns against you. What she discovers will shatter everything she believes about herself, and change her forever. Will she survive the darkness that wants to consume her? Or is her destiny truly broken? Broken destiny. Rain fell in cold, sharp sheets, hammering against the shattered windows of the abandoned house. The air smelled of damp wood and rust. Elena stepped inside, her shoes sinking slightly into the soaked floorboards. Every creak under her weight echoed through the empty halls like a warning. A chill ran down her spine as the wind howled through the broken roof. Shadows moved along the walls, stretching and shrinking as if alive. She held her flashlight tighter, its weak beam trembling in the darkness. The house groaned around her, each sound heavier than the last. She paused near the staircase, noticing scratches along the banister. They were deep, jagged, and fresh. A sudden noise from upstairs made her jump. Footsteps, deliberate and slow, dragging something heavy. Her heart pounded in her chest, threatening to burst through her ribs. Elena climbed the stairs cautiously, each step a battle against the fear gripping her mind. The upstairs hallway smelled of decay and wet fabric. A door at the far end was slightly ajar, the light from inside flickering erratically. She pushed it open and froze. The room was empty, yet the air was thick with a presence she could not see. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts, the flashlight shaking in her hand. Then she noticed the mirror on the far wall. It was cracked, the lines forming a jagged web across her reflection. She saw herself, but something was wrong. Her eyes were not hers. They were hollow, dark, and staring back at her with a cold emptiness. Suddenly, the floor beneath the mirror collapsed. Elena screamed as she fell into darkness. She landed hard on damp stone, water seeping into her clothes. The room below smelled of rotten smoke. In the faint light, she saw markings on the walls. Symbols she did not recognize, drawn in something dark and sticky. A whisper brushed her ear, soft and malevolent. It was her name, called with a tone that was not human. Her pulse raced, every instinct screaming to run, yet her body would not move. From the shadows, a figure emerged, tall and faceless, gliding toward her. It moved silently, but its presence pressed against her like a storm. The air grew thick, heavy with a darkness that seemed alive. Elena felt her memories twisting, changing, as if the room itself was rewriting her past. A vision flashed before her eyes, showing paths she could not have taken. Choices she had not made, lives she had not lived. And then she realized the truth. Her destiny was not broken by chance. It was shattered by design. And whatever haunted this house was waiting for her to accept it. She tried to scream again, but no sound came. The figure reached out. Her vision blurred. The air vibrated with a cold, electric hum that penetrated her bones. Elena could feel her very essence being pulled apart. Her identity, her will, her past. All slipping away into the darkness. And in that moment, she understood that some destinies cannot be mended. They can only be surrendered to the void. Darkness swallowed her completely. Elena felt herself falling, not through space, but through time, through moments she had never lived. The cold pressed against her skin like 1,000 tiny knives. Her mind screamed, clawing at the edges of sanity. A faint glow appeared ahead, pulsating, irregular, like a heartbeat. She floated toward it, though she had no legs, no control over her movement. The figure followed silently, its presence a constant pressure on her chest. The glow formed into a doorway, impossibly tall and narrow. Through it, she could see fragments of her life. Laughter, tears, faces she recognized, faces she did not. The doorway whispered secrets she did not want to hear. It showed her moments of betrayal she had never experienced, and guilt she had never earned. She tried to look away, but her eyes refused. The figure reached the doorway first, and with a simple gesture, it forced her to follow. Inside, the air burned like acid, and the walls throbbed with a pulse that matched her own heartbeat. Elena stumbled forward, suddenly aware of chains wrapped around her wrists. They were cold, rusted, yet impossible to break. The floor beneath her feet shifted and cracked, each step echoing with 1,000 screams. She tried to call out, but her voice had vanished entirely. From the corners of the room, shadows crawled toward her, stretching like black water. They whispered her name, mocking, inviting, threatening. Elena felt her memories fray, slipping like threads from a loom. Her childhood, her family, her friends, all dissolving into a mist of gray nothingness. The figure approached closer, and she could finally see it clearly. It had no face, no features, only a mirror where its head should have been. And in that mirror, she saw herself. Not as she was, but as she could have been, broken into 1,000 versions. Some versions screamed in terror, some wept silently, and some stared back with eyes that were empty voids. The figure raised a hand, and the mirror shattered. Shards flew in all directions, slicing through the air with a whispering hiss. One shard struck her chest, and she felt her soul fracture in tandem. The shadows lunged at her then, merging with her, becoming part of her body, her mind. Pain exploded inside her head, sharp, unrelenting, as if every nerve had been rewired. Elena fell to her knees, the chains pulling her down further into the floor. The walls began to bleed a thick, black liquid that smelled of iron and ash. Her senses overloaded. Sight, sound, smell, touch, everything distorted, amplified. She tried to remember who she was, to hold on to her past, her name, anything. But it was slipping, dissolving, leaving only fear. The figure spoke at last, not with words, but with thought. You are not free. Your destiny was never yours. Every choice you believed you made was an illusion. Every hope, every dream, every love, a construct to trap you here. Elena screamed in her mind, her will straining against the darkness. Her hands, bound in chains, tried to grasp the air, tried to anchor herself to reality. But the chains tightened. The shadows pressed into her, their cold fingers wrapping around her bones. Her thoughts splintered. Fragments of memories collided with visions of horrors she had not imagined. She saw herself standing over the graves of people she loved, smiling without knowing why. She saw strangers in torment, and she felt the pain as if it were her own. A part of her wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. The doorway had vanished. The floor had become an endless abyss. The walls of the room were her mind itself, and they were collapsing inward. She felt herself dissolving into nothingness, her identity fragmenting into infinite echoes. And then, in the midst of despair, she felt something unexpected. A flicker of defiance. A spark she did not think she had left. Elena pulled against the chains with every ounce of strength. The shadows hissed and recoiled, but they did not let go. The figure raised its mirrored head, and Elena caught her reflection within it. It was smiling, but the smile was not her own. It was a promise, a challenge. Her memories, though fractured, began to form shapes, words, and faces. The chains cracked under her willpower, breaking one by one. The shadows shrieked, dissolving into smoke, retreating into corners of the room that no longer existed. Elena rose to her feet, shaking, drenched, and bleeding from every nerve. The mirror figure lurched forward, trying to reclaim her, but she stepped through a crack in the floor. She fell into darkness again, but this time it was quieter. Her own heartbeat echoed louder than anything else. The air smelled of damp earth and rain, the scent grounding her in reality. She saw light above, faint, but warm. Her body ached, but she moved toward it, inch by inch. The voice of the figure screamed in her mind, rage twisting every word. You cannot escape. But Elena ignored it, focusing only on the light, on the warmth, on herself. She pushed forward, each step harder than the last, yet she refused to stop. Her memories, though scattered, began to return, piece by piece. Faces she loved, places she had known, laughter, tears, they all became her anchor. The figure tried one final attack, lashing out with tendrils of darkness that clawed at her mind. But she met it with something stronger, her will, unbroken and defiant. A surge of energy erupted from within her, blasting the darkness away. The figure recoiled, its mirror face cracking, its presence shrinking. Elena rose fully, finally free from the floor, finally in control of her body. The house around her groaned and trembled, as if aware it was losing its prey. She ran, each step pounding against the soaked floorboards, the walls collapsing behind her. Rain poured through the broken windows, washing away the last remnants of the shadow. The door to the outside appeared, bathed in golden light from the storm clearing. She reached it and stepped through. The cold rain hit her face, and she inhaled deeply. The sky above was gray but clearing, and the air smelled of earth and freedom. She was bruised, battered, and trembling. But she was alive, and for the first time, she knew her destiny was not broken. It had been tested, and she had survived. She looked back at the house one last time. It stood silent, empty, waiting. But Elena walked forward, the rain washing her tears and fear away. Her heart, though still trembling, was stronger. Her mind, though scarred, was free. The shadows were gone, and the broken destiny she had inherited had been shattered, not by fate, but by her courage. She smiled faintly, the world before her full of possibilities. And though the memory of the darkness would never leave her entirely, she knew that she would never again be controlled by it. Elena walked away from the ruined house, her steps slow, deliberate, yet unafraid. The rain had stopped, leaving the world damp and glistening. The air smelled of wet earth and new beginnings. Each breath she took felt like reclaiming a part of herself she had feared lost forever. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting golden streaks across the ground. She paused and looked back once more. The house stood silent, its broken windows like dark eyes watching her leave. For a moment, a shiver ran down her spine, but it was no longer fear, it was respect. She had faced what no one else could, confronted the darkness of her own destiny, and emerged stronger. Her hands, though still trembling, were steady now. She touched her chest, feeling the steady beat of her heart, alive and whole. Memories returned fully, not fractured or twisted, but hers, painful, beautiful, and true. Every choice she had made, every step she had taken, had led her here. Elena smiled faintly, a quiet smile of relief and triumph. She realized that destiny was not something given or taken, it was something shaped, moment, by courage and will. The wind whispered softly through the trees, carrying with it the scent of freedom. She took a deep breath and began to walk forward. Each step felt lighter, as if the weight of the darkness had been lifted from her shoulders. Though the memory of the house and the figure within would remain, it